Fox News. She went in there dripping with condescension. 15 minutes later.
Bill O'Reilly was once one of the biggest names on television. For years, he dominated cable news, built a reputation as a fearless commentator, and earned millions of dollars each year. His show, The O'Reilly Factor, was the top-rated program on Fox News, and millions of viewers trusted his voice. On screen, he played the role of a strong family man, a defender of traditional values, and someone who claimed to tell the truth without spin. However, behind this image was a much darker reality. Court records, witness statements, and testimonies from his own children painted a very different picture. His wife, who stayed silent for years, eventually discovered things so disturbing that she had no choice but to leave. What started as small cracks in their marriage soon became open wounds that the public could no longer ignore. This article will explore the rise and fall of Bill O'Reilly, the truth about his marriage, and the shocking events that led to his wife divorcing him immediately after catching him in a situation that destroyed his carefully built image. Bill O'Reilly was born in 1949 in Manhattan, New York. His parents were working-class Irish Catholics who valued discipline and tradition. When he was a young child, the family moved to Levittown, Long Island, one of the earliest mass-produced suburbs in America. At the time, Levittown was segregated, meaning black families were not allowed to buy homes there. This shaped much of O'Reilly's worldview. As he grew up, surrounded by people with similar backgrounds, and had little exposure to other cultures, he went to Catholic schools, played sports, and developed a confrontational personality early on. In high school, he was known for his large size and aggressive nature, which made him stand out on the hockey team. After graduating, he studied history at Marist College, then briefly worked as a teacher before moving into journalism. From the start, he was bold and sometimes reckless. He reportedly walked into magazine offices and declared himself a film critic without being hired. This kind of arrogance and confidence became part of his personality, and later influenced both his career success and his personal failures. O'Reilly's career in journalism moved quickly. He worked at small television stations before joining larger networks like CBS and ABC. From early on, his reporting style was loud, direct, and sometimes controversial. Colleagues often accused him of exaggerating stories or putting himself in danger to make a report more dramatic. While this behavior made him difficult to work with, it also got him noticed. In Dallas, he even won awards for investigative reporting. But there were accusations that he broke journalistic rules to get the story. This mix of success and questionable behavior followed him throughout his career. At Inside Edition, he became the host and pushed the program toward a more aggressive, confrontational style that boosted ratings. His famous on-camera meltdown where he yelled, "We'll do it live," showed the anger and intensity boiling under the surface. By the time he joined Fox News in 1996, he was ready for a much bigger stage. His show, The O'Reilly Factor, soon became the most-watched program on cable news. He was earning millions, selling best-selling books, and positioning himself as one of the most powerful voices in media. In 1996, around the same time he began working at Fox News, O'Reilly married a woman named Maureen McPhilmy. She was younger than him, worked in public relations, and seemed like the perfect partner for a man building a brand as a family man. Together, they had 2 children, a daughter named Madeline and a son named Spencer. For years, O'Reilly wore his wedding ring on television, spoke about family values, and appeared to live the life he preached to his audience. But the reality inside their Long Island home was very different. According to court records, O'Reilly tried to control nearly every part of Maureen's life. He wanted to know where she went, who she spoke to, and even monitored her phone calls. His temper was explosive, and his children later testified that they witnessed him dragging their mother by the neck down a staircase. These were not isolated incidents, but part of a pattern of control, abuse, and intimidation. The man who told the public he defended morals and values was hiding serious problems behind closed doors. The turning point in their marriage came one late night in 2009. According to sworn statements, Maureen walked into the master bedroom of their home and found Bill O'Reilly in a shocking situation. He was reportedly standing by the bed, pants around his ankles, holding a phone while speaking in a disturbing and graphic way to someone on the other end. This discovery was especially painful because O'Reilly had already faced a lawsuit years earlier from a producer who accused him of making sexually explicit phone calls. He had quietly settled that case for millions of dollars. Now, his wife was seeing the same behavior with her own eyes, just steps away from their children's bedrooms. When she confronted him, the situation escalated into physical violence. She later described being shoved against a wall so hard that it left a hole in the drywall. For her, this was the final straw. Within months, she began preparing to leave him, quietly setting aside money, collecting evidence, and planning to move with the children to safety. In 2010, Maureen officially separated from O'Reilly, and by 2011 their divorce was finalized. What followed was a bitter custody battle over their children. O'Reilly tried everything to maintain control, even hiring private investigators to track her phone calls and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on surveillance. He reportedly even contacted the Catholic Church, asking priests to punish her by denying her communion because she was dating someone new. The courts, however, saw through his tactics. Their daughter testified in front of a judge about the abuse she had witnessed. She described seeing her father drag her mother by the throat and spit near her face. Both children eventually told psychologists they were afraid of their father's outbursts. In 2016, a court granted full residential custody to Maureen, ruling that the children were safer with her. O'Reilly was ordered to take anger management classes, and his time with the children was limited to supervised visits. For someone who had built a career on preaching family values, it was a devastating blow to his image. While his marriage collapsed, O'Reilly was also facing major professional scandals. Beginning in 2004, multiple women accused him of sexual harassment. They described phone calls filled with graphic sexual talk, unwanted advances, and threats to their careers if they refused his attention. Instead of going to trial, O'Reilly and Fox News quietly paid millions in settlements. Over the years, more than $45 million was paid to at least 6 women. The largest single settlement, revealed in 2017, was $32 million paid to a Fox legal analyst. These enormous payments showed just how far the network was willing to go to protect one of its biggest stars. But the pattern could not stay hidden forever. Once the public learned the scale of the settlements, advertisers began pulling out of the O'Reilly factor. Within weeks, more than 50 companies cut ties, and Fox was forced to fire him. His once unshakable empire collapsed almost overnight. By 2017, Bill O'Reilly was no longer the king of cable news. After being fired from Fox, he received a $25 million payout but lost the platform that made him famous. His attempts to return to television failed, as advertisers didn't want the risk of being associated with him. Instead, he turned to podcasting, selling memberships on his website, and writing books. But his audience shrank dramatically. At his peak, he reached 3 to 4 million viewers a night. Now, his online shows draw only a fraction of that. His marriage was gone, his children lived with their mother, and his reputation was permanently damaged. The man who once seemed untouchable had been brought down by his own actions. What makes his story so powerful is not just the scandals, but the fact that his wife and children ultimately stood up to him, exposing the truth that had been hidden for so long. Bill O'Reilly's story is one of rise and fall, success and scandal, power and downfall. For years, he convinced millions of viewers that he was a man of values, discipline, and truth. In reality, his life was filled with control, anger, and repeated acts of harassment and abuse. His wife stayed silent for a long time, but when she finally saw the truth for herself, she wasted no time in leaving. The divorce revealed everything O'Reilly had tried to hide. From violent incidents inside the home to multi-million-dollar harassment settlements. Today, he continues to speak from smaller platforms, but the world that once made him powerful has moved on. His story serves as a reminder that no matter how famous or influential someone may appear, the truth eventually comes out. For O'Reilly, it cost him his marriage, his career, and the trust of millions who once believed in him. From a young age, Bill O'Reilly was known for being competitive and stubborn. Teachers described him as intelligent but often difficult to manage. Friends from his neighborhood remembered that he loved arguments, even when they were about simple things like sports or homework. He wanted to win every discussion, no matter the topic. This personality carried into adulthood. When he became a journalist, he had the same attitude toward his co-workers. Many reporters respected his energy and drive, but others thought he was arrogant. He didn't like being told what to do, and if he felt slighted, he would hold a grudge. This strong personality helped him climb the ladder quickly, but it also created enemies along the way. Colleagues said he often exaggerated his role in big stories, sometimes claiming he was closer to dangerous situations than he actually was. These small lies might have seemed harmless to him, but over time, they built a reputation that he cared more about his image than the truth. That tension between his public persona and private actions would define much of his career and personal life. When O'Reilly joined Fox News in 1996, the network was still relatively new. Rupert Murdoch and Roger L. wanted to build a channel that appealed to conservative viewers who felt ignored by mainstream media. O'Reilly's aggressive style was a perfect fit. His program, The O'Reilly Factor, quickly became the most watched cable news show. He interviewed politicians, celebrities, and ordinary people with the same confrontational approach. Sometimes, he made guests look foolish by interrupting them or dismissing their answers. This made fans love him even more. He created a segment called the No Spin Zone, where he claimed to give viewers the straight truth without manipulation. For over a decade, millions of people tuned in every night, and advertisers paid top dollar to appear on his show. O'Reilly earned book deals, speaking tours, and massive contracts with Fox. At one point, his yearly salary reached $25 million. He wasn't just a TV host, he was a cultural force. Politicians feared his criticism, and celebrities dreaded being targeted in one of his fiery monologues. Yet behind the scenes, Fox executives were constantly dealing with complaints about his behavior, both on set and off. Inside Fox News, O'Reilly was both admired and feared. Some staff members said he could be generous, offering career advice or gifts, but others described him as manipulative and intimidating. Multiple women later came forward, saying he pressured them into unwanted situations. According to reports, he would call women late at night, making graphic sexual comments. Some of these calls went on for hours, filled with disturbing fantasies. Women who rejected him feared losing their jobs, since O'Reilly had so much influence at the network. Fox quietly handled many of these complaints by paying large settlements. The first major lawsuit became public in 2004, when producer Andrea Macris sued him for harassment. The case revealed transcripts of calls where O'Reilly used shocking and explicit language. Although he denied the claims, Fox paid millions to settle, and Macris agreed not to speak publicly. For a while, this seemed to protect O'Reilly's career. Viewers remained loyal, and the network stood behind him. But the pattern continued. Over the next decade, more women came forward, and the settlements grew larger. These deals kept the scandals out of the spotlight. But they couldn't stay hidden forever. The phone call scandal had a direct effect on his marriage. According to reports, Maureen McPhilmy had suspicions for years but did not want to believe them. She wanted to keep her family together for the sake of their children. But when she saw him engaging in the same disturbing behavior at home that he had been accused of at work, everything changed. Finding him late at night, speaking in explicit terms on the phone, confirmed her worst fears. This wasn't just workplace misconduct, it was happening in their own home. The fact that he was so reckless, knowing his children could hear, showed how little control he had over his impulses. For Maureen, it was not just a betrayal as a wife, but also a threat to her children's safety and emotional well-being. Court documents later revealed that she began seeking advice from therapists and lawyers almost immediately after that night. She knew it would be a long and difficult fight, especially against someone as wealthy and powerful as Bill O'Reilly. But she felt she had no other choice. The most damaging testimony during their divorce came from their daughter. In court, she described an incident where her father dragged her mother by the neck down a staircase while screaming at her. This testimony shocked many because it came directly from a child who had no reason to lie. Her words carried more weight than any newspaper article or lawsuit. A court-appointed psychologist